Okay, so what I've done in between the last video and this video is I've added just a whole bunch of reviews, and I want to try and now that I've added each one, and they're all done, I want to create a page for each one. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to create each page one by one. I want to let Django do its magic. Okay, so I want it to sort of generate it based on a template that we create. Oh, it's over there for some reason. There we are. Okay, so there's the template we created, and I left something out actually. I think what I might do is I might put it in as a challenge for you guys to work this one out. But so what I was thinking is, when we created this class, this model for our database, what I didn't do is I put down the author, but I didn't put down in the table what the author's review was. So when we look at IMDb and we call the API to get us the date that we want. So for example, we can look at the film and we'll get up the fact that, you know, it's 8.5 out of 10 from 823,000 reviewers. All right. However, on this website, what I want the author's review as well. I want the author's rating. So I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to hope that you guys put it in. And in the next video, I'll show how to do that. But that's a challenge for you guys. So I'll leave it there. Okay, so next thing we want then is we've got our templates done, our models done. We would now want to look at the views, and we want to do something with this. So in the home page, I want something that I can render into that home page, because at the moment all that's happening is we're saying the request, and the request is basically the URL, but there's you know, and that's it. But we need to be able to populate the items from that database into our page. So what I'm going to say is at the top here, let's say from this level, all right, so basically from this reviews folder, from models, import reviews. So basically it's going to import that table. Okay, let's put some space there, and then what we want to do is we want to say that review equals review. Take care of how I'm capitalizing it, because my table, my class, begins with a capital. Okay, and if you remember in class, I do always go through this with you guys, and I do say that when you create a function and when you create a variable, you always use a lowercase, but when you name a class, which is what our model is, it always begins uppercase. Okay, so that's kind of like a Python standard. So we want to say basically objects. All right, so what we're doing then is in our request, in our function, we're loading up all the objects. Okay, and what we're then going to do is we're going to say in our request, we're going to say that as well as the HTML. So what it's doing here is it's rendering the request, it's rendering using that HTML template, but what we want to do is we also want to pass through reviews, and we want to pass that like this. So review, okay, my bad, sorry, actually that should be in a quote. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're basically passing this information, so it's loaded up the table into our function here. So when we render our page, we're loading that up, and we're going to pass it into our HTML template. That's what we're doing here. So when we render our request, all right, and we're going to load that template, and we're passing this information to as an extra bit of information. So I now need to go to my homepage HTML, and then I need to think about how I'm going to do it. So as you remember, I've got my heading here, and actually what I'm going to start doing is, if you remember, I need to start making some spaces, didn't I? So let's just do BR to create a bit of a gap between the top one. Let's do another one here, like that. And then what we want is, we wanted a card to appear, but notice that I've only got one card. Okay, so what I really want is, I want this card repeated for as many objects that there are in my database. Okay, so we're going to write a small Python script that hopefully helps us do that. So again, this little Django script here will tell our computer that we're doing a for loop. So, okay, so we're just basically doing kind of like a Python for loop, a Django for loop. For review, no, you tell you what, let's say for rev in review. You know what, actually let me change that. I'm going to say for review in reviews dot all. So basically all the reviews. I want you to create one of these cards for each one. Okay, and then what I want is, here at the end of this card, I want that to be end for. In fact, that's no spaces there. Okay, so really what it does now is it will create one card for every single review. But I've made a change here. So I've said that review, which I labeled as, was my views. So I said that was a review. Let's change them all to reviews. Okay, so that we're all they're all exactly the same. Okay, so let's save that, and then let's save that as well. I think they're all saved now. So now if we go back to our home page, let's go to view site. Oh no, okay, review is not defined, is that right? So where have I gone wrong here? What it's saying, and you know, these error messages are important, so it's important to see where they are. So it says here that in my views page, reviews equals review.objects does not exist. Oh sorry, is what is it saying? Review is not defined. Okay, so let's see if we can define that then. Let's go back to here. Okay, and what we're saying is, in the views, we're saying review.objects. Okay then. Okay, so reviews, is that because here in models it was reviews and not review? Okay, my bad. So if I go back to there and I say that's reviews, because basically I got the name of a table wrong. Hopefully now that should make a difference. Yay, it worked. Okay, but look, I've got a problem. Yeah, what's happened is it's created a card for each film, but I don't really want it like that. I want it in a row. Okay, so I want it to be in a row, but I think what we'll do is we'll overcome that one later. We'll do the layout part later. So what I really want to focus on now is getting the card title to be the name of the film, and then, you know, something about the film, maybe a truncated explanation of what it is, and then a link that takes me to the actual review itself. So we'll come to that as well. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, so what I want to say is, let's go to our home. No, let's go to let's go to our home page. So what we're saying is the card title, I'm going to take that out. Let's take card title out, because what I want is, I want a film title. But I'm supposed to do that, I'm going to have to go back to views, and I'm going to have to create that. So I'm going to have to say title equals actually, I don't think I am doing that. I think what I'm doing is I'm going straight to the HTML page again, the home page, and what we're going to do is we're going to refer to each individual film as review, because it's saying reviews all. So for each item in the for each item in the, what do you call it, the table, all right, we're saying review dot, and if we go back to our model for a second, our model said our title was title. So I'm going to say back to here, because it's loaded this up. Nope, sorry, HTML page. We're going to say review dot title. So what it should do for each one now is it should change that to a title. Now the thing you want me to remember though is when we want to reference an item from a table or a variable, we're going to say double curly brackets. Okay, so let's try that. So let's save that, and we made changes to that. Let's save that as well. Let's go back to here. Now if we refresh, yeah, okay, so what it's done for each one for us now, for each title, it's replaced it with a title of the film that we've reviewed, the reviews that are there. So that's cool. So my next step then is, I guess I can do it straight from here. I'm gonna say that the card text would have been, okay, let's change that. The model, in fact, let's just do this so it looks a lot. So review dot, was it body? Did I write body? Let's double check here in the models. Yeah, so my review should have been under body. Okay, let's go back, and that should work, but there's going to be a problem. Okay, so the problem that's going to happen straight away is this text. This is going to be huge on some of these, and they're not going to be truncated. As you can see, look, this one, my blah blah blah, it's already stretched that card up quite a lot. This one's huge. There was another one that was huge, the Inception one. To be honest, I've just taken these straight from IMDb. I didn't write these, apart from that first one. So what we need is, we don't want those cards to stretch out bigger than they should be. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little change to this, so we truncate it. Okay, so to do that, where we've typed in body, because that's the field name from the table, I'm going to use the pipe symbol, and I'm going to say truncate words, and I'm going to say, let's say 30 characters, and let's see if that works. So save that, and then if we go back to here and refresh, cool, it's done it. So each one now is truncated it. So there, but we do have still some bigger than others, some more than others. So this one here is a bit bigger than that. Okay, that's because it's done 30 words and not, so it feels like this card's a bit bigger, but that should be fine. Okay, all right, so we'll leave it at that. And then what we want to do now is we want to do something here. So if we go back to our table here where it says go somewhere, we want to change that to, instead of go somewhere, we want to say read review. Okay, so we can do that. And then what we want to do is we want to create a link so that every time we click on that, it goes to the review that we want it to go to. Okay, so to do that, then look, at the moment we've only got our home page. What we need to do is we need to create a separate template for each film. So that is going to go, we're going to take it back to the slide here, and we want it to look something like this. Okay, before we start working on that though, I do want to sort out that issue with the fact that they were going row by row, and what I want is a row of 3. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start reading through this again, and it's been a while, to find out how to create a row and how to sort of populate a row with no more than 3. So let's have a quick browse through Bootstrap. Okay, so what I've done is I've looked at the Bootstrap website, and there's a lot of documentation that you can look and see, but I think kind of what I need is something a bit like this. So we want to be able to inside our container have a rows class, and possibly split that into columns of 3 or 4, so it will look a bit more like this one, and then when there's new rows it will kind of look a bit like that. I think this is a good one, so it's like shows it split into 3, and I think if more added it turns to that. So what I'll do is let's put that out of the way for a second. Let's go back to our let's go back to this, and what we want to do is we want to do that outside of our for loop. Okay, so here I'm going to say div, let's try this out, see if this works. Div row. Someone's got a blender going in the house, I hope it's not too loud. Let's pause that a second. Okay, so we said we wanted columns of 3. So then I think what we do is we take our for loop and we literally just dump it inside that row. Let's save that and then let's see what happens. So when we refresh, it's done it. That's pretty cool. Okay, so it has done it. They appear to be all stuck together, and that's not too bad. It seems like the height difference has been sorted out between them as well. So I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to keep that for now. So the next thing then is really we need to start thinking about passing our image API in, but I'll do that on the next video now, because then we'll spend the next lesson looking at the API again.